Welcome to the Lunchtime Broadcast, where we highlight the news making waves, ranging from current affairs to community stories, sports and economic news. Here are the headlines. Namibia celebrates 34 years of independence. Swakopmund will host famous Africa Triathlon Cup for third consecutive time, and you can catch all the action live on NTV tomorrow. And multi-million-dollar fraud accused Rebebe wants state-funded lawyer. I am Ashwin Bedi, and this is NMH at 1. Follow all our programs on oneup2.com, DSTV 2 at 5 and GoTV 25 in Namibia. Let's head to the midday news update. Now, in an international update, a 62-year-old man is said to be recovering well and should leave hospital soon after getting a new kidney from a pig that was genetically modified to reduce the risk of the organ being rejected. American surgeons say Rick Slayman is a real hero for trying the pioneering operation. The ultimate hope is to use animal organs for more transplants. The 4-hour surgery performed on 16 March marks a major milestone in the quest to provide more readily available organs to patients, Massachusetts General Hospital said in a statement. Now, Visual News highlights local stories from across Namibia right after the break.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouthwatering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
Now, people from all walks of life made their way to Katima Mulilo Sports Complex yesterday for Namibia's 34th Independence Day celebrations. The event, held in the Zambezi region for the first time ever this year, attracted over 10,000 people. Various dignitaries were also in attendance at the event, where President Nangolo Mbumba delivered the keynote address.
The celebration of Namibia's independence this year here in the Zambezi region provides us an opportunity as citizens to contemplate the meaning of freedom and the value of peace, stability and unity, and how we acquire it. How we acquire it. It did not come by itself. It came through sacrifices. It came through crossing the rivers of blood. And therefore, when we celebrate, we know what we are celebrating. It's something that cost us much. It's something that brought us to the point that we can take our own decisions without anyone else from other country telling us what to do and what not to do. That is worth celebrating. It gives us an opportunity to recall the important role played by ordinary people in the Zambezi region who have contributed to the independence and freedom of Namibia. It was here that many of our citizens escaped on foot and through canoes, either to Zambia or to Botswana, crossing the Zambezi River and its tributaries. When the South African apartheid regime realized the strategic value of the Zambezi region for Namibia's liberation struggle, they militarized the area, declared a decade-long curfew, and killed, imprisoned, and tortured many Namibian citizens here in this region. It was here in the Zambezi region that the SWAPO parties, Swala operatives, the forerunner of plan, started political governance and accountability on which our democracy is anchored. Let us therefore continue to work hard draw on the inspiration of the legacy left by our founding president, our Dr. Nuyoma, our second president, Dr. Pohamba, and our late president, Dr. Gaingo, to guard the peace, to guard the unity, to guard the stability we are having today. Remember, as President Gaingo used to say, it is easy to destroy what was taking a long time to build, but it is not easy to rebuild, end of quote. We emphasize peace, unity, and harmony. Those who are planning to disturb peace, unity, and economic development in Namibia are enemy of all our people. True citizens of Namibia should not support or follow these individuals or groups who have chosen the path of division instead of the path of unity. In this regard, I call upon our security cluster to redouble their effort to ensure that Namibia remains safe from external and internal criminal threats, not only for its citizens, but also for our visitors and tourists from other countries. Let us not become destroyers of our future and that of coming generations by practicing tribalism, racism, regionalism, corruption, crime, and all similar destructive habits. Rather, let us become wise nation builders.
Multimillion-dollar fraud accused Nico Rebebe has requested a legal aid lawyer. This and more in local stories in the newspaper review.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Getting into the newspaper review, fraud accused Nico Rebebe, who made his first court appearance this week for his alleged attempt to steal 200 million Namibian dollars from Bank Windhoek's Opuwo branch, told the court that he would need a legal aid lawyer because he does not have any money. The banker, who was on the run for 54 days before returning to the northwestern town after running out of medicine, has a formal bail application scheduled for 8 April. The paper also reports that President Nangolo Mbumba struck a defiant tone in his Independence Day message yesterday, urging the country's security cluster to redouble efforts to ensure Namibia remains safe, while branding unspecified individuals allegedly planning to disturb the peace as enemies of Namibia. Now, a High Court decision to allow affirmative repositioning activist Job Amopanda to provide evidence of his financial resources for a protective costs order was set aside by the Supreme Court on Monday. The application for a protective cost order was brought in the legal action regarding the removal of the veterinary cordon fence, also known as the Red Line. Although High Court Judge Shafimana Uitele pointed out in his judgment in September 2023 that Amopanda's application did not meet the requirements and would normally be dismissed, he exercised his jurisdiction to grant Amopanda leave to supplement his application with additional evidence regarding his finances. From Namibian Sun to Republic Kane, 4 days after a post on social media by the local Instagram influencer Ruben Lambrecht, in which he asks for help for farmers suffering as a result of drought, more than 50,000 Namibian dollars has already been collected. This despite the fact that spokesperson for the Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform, Jonah Musheko, said on Wednesday that Ruben was just another opportunist and described his post on social media as a scam. The Regulatory Authority for Communications will be able to start collecting charges from service providers in terms of a judgment in the High Court, which backdates August 2022. No regulatory levies have been collected since then. Considering the Supreme Court's decision, the authority will resume collection of levies dating back to that period and moving forward. Now, the authority will also finally introduce the Universal Service Fund, which has also been hampered by the legal challenge, said CRAN CEO Emiliani Kembwa in a media statement last week. Now, Allgemeine Zeitung reports that what has become typical for the Canadian gas and oil exploration company Reconnaissance Energy Africa, the company has once again made an announcement only on foreign platforms. The residents of the country, Namibia, where the company is controversially exploring for gas and oil, are still left in the dark. On the Yahoo Finance website, Recon Africa announced an updated resource estimate report prepared by independent reserve grading agency Netherlands Sewell and Associates on March 12, 2024. Now, on its page 3, the paper reports that since the bull elephant portals discovered the vegetable patches in the villages of Irene Post and Homod a few months ago, the usual dry grass and branches were no longer tasty enough for him. According to Elephant Conservation Organization EHRA, clandestine nocturnal forays became his routine, but his nocturnal escapades posed a potential threat. We then deployed our elephant guard Taiwan to guard the gardens. He often had to gently chase portals away by talking to him using his flashlight and a bugle. This was, however, not a long-term solution. After seeking for help from other organizations, Chartuku promised to finance 3 solar-powered electric fences, says EHAR. We continue with the newspaper review, delving into the Namibian.
Neopaints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neopaints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neopaints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
Now, the Namibian reports that the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism has said that the ministry did well enough in its conservation efforts to be able to donate wild animals for national events as government defends wildlife slaughter for Independence Lunch. This response comes after public concern was raised about whether donating various wild animals to be slaughtered and served to residents for lunch was in alignment with the country's conservation efforts. The ministry donated 10 buffaloes, 3 kudus, 2 blue wildebeest, 2 hippos, 1 elephant and impalas. Now, McHenry Venani, the leader of the Popular Democratic Movement, has emphasized Namibia's ongoing struggles with poverty, inequality, corruption, and government mismanagement despite 34 years of independence. This comes as Namibia celebrated its 34th Independence Day at an event attended by over 10,000 people in the Zambezi region at Katima Mulilo yesterday. Now, despite the scorching heat, thousands of Namibians and Zambezi residents turned up to celebrate Namibia's 34th Independence Day anniversary held in Katima Mulilo. Notably, the keynote speaker, President Nangolo Mbumba, did not hide his joy as the public turned up in big numbers to celebrate in unity and diversity. I have come several times to the Zambezi region, starting in 1989, in all kinds of capacities. I've never experienced this type of unity, this type of brotherhood, he said in New Era reports. Now, the Health Ministry is looking at exploring bilateral engagements with other countries such as South Africa, Egypt and Rwanda to source pharmaceutical products from those jurisdictions to address the challenges it has been facing. Health Minister Kalumbi Shangula said they have prioritized interventions to put in place long-term contracts to reduce procurement administrative downtime and improve supplier performance. Moving over to Market Watch, the German government this week presented a letter of intent to NMH SE, confirming the suitability of Hyphen's project in Namibia to be considered for final approval to be designated as a strategic foreign project. Granted by the German government, this status is reserved for high-priority global projects of strategic interest to Germany. Now, NMH said in a statement, Dr. Robert Habeck, Germany's Federal Minister for Economic Affairs and Climate Protection, handed over the LOI to Dr. Gunnar Hering, NMH CEO, as part of the Berlin Energy Transition Dialogue. Now, in economic news, we'll zoom in on the collaboration between Namibia's Labour Ministry and the International Labour Organization. Let's get into our economic news. Namibia's Labour Ministry, in collaboration with the International Labour Organization, has launched the National Coordination Mechanism with a focus on decent work within the Namibian fisheries sector. The sector's NCM will oversee compliance with international labour standards and facilitate dialogue among stakeholders to enhance working conditions and operational efficiency. Labour Minister Utoni Nuyoma officially launched the project on 19 March. Nuyoma said that the fisheries sector plays a crucial role in Namibia's economy. The fisheries sector provides employment and uplifts the livelihood for many of our citizens. However, it is also a sector that has been marred by challenges, including issues relating to decent work, occupational health and safety, forced labor, as well as violence and harassment on some vessels using Namibian ports. Nuyoma said government is serious about addressing employment conditions in the fishing sector. Let's swing over to the economic indicators. The Namibian dollar trades at 19.00 next to the US dollar, with 23.85 Namibian dollars getting you 1 British pound. 1 euro will cost you 20.54 Namibian dollars, and for Chinese yuan you get 2.63 Namibian dollars. Looking at selected NSX stock closing prices, First Rand Namibia Limited would want to perform better than minus 0.50%. However, Letego Holdings stock is up 2.50%. Overall index closed down minus 0.05%, whilst Oryx Properties managed an uptick. Looking at commodities, Brent crude oil is plus 0.10%, with gold on minus 0.72%, trading at $2,166.18 US per ounce. Now, in news from Africa, Kenyan doctors stopped providing emergency services at public hospitals yesterday as they escalated a national strike that entered its second week. Thousands of doctors have stayed away from hospitals since last Thursday over poor pay and working conditions, despite a court order calling for talks between the doctors and the health ministry. Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union Secretary General Dr. Davji Bimji said the doctors escalated the strike and stopped providing bare minimum services because the government had shown no efforts to resolve the labor dispute. Now, Health Minister Susan Nakumicha on Wednesday told local television station KTN that she had instructed 2 top referral hospitals to recruit doctors to replace those taking part in the national strike. "We will not allow a crisis to happen. We cannot afford to have a gap," she said, adding that doctors were offered temporary replacements starting Wednesday night. The striking doctors accused the government of failing to implement a raft of promises, including a collective bargaining agreement signed in 2017 after a 100-day strike that saw people die from lack of care. After delay and uncertainty, Senegal is set for presidential polls this Sunday in the alleyways of Dakar's fabric market. Wednesday, supporters of Ousmane Sonko's protege Bassirou Diomaye Faye and Senegal's only female presidential candidate, Anta Babacar, were confident. "We trust Diomaye. He will help us so that young people stop taking to the sea to live abroad. What they are looking for there, which we have here. Senegal is rich, but we don't have good leadership, Market Seller Samba said. Now 19 candidates seek to succeed Macky Sall, and the ruling party nominated Sall's former Prime Minister Amadou Ba. Babacar Ndiaye, a political analyst with the Dakar-based think tank Wati, says the youth vote in this election will be decisive. We're going to take a short break before we return with the sport. Now in local sport, for the third time, Swakopmund will host the famous Africa Triathlon Cup on Saturday at the Moore Beach. Triathletes travel from all over the world to take part in this prestigious event in search of ranking points of the International Triathlon Union. Last year's elite men's winner, former South African veteran Richard Murray, now representing the Netherlands since March 2022, is back to defend his title against a field that does not include many others from the 2023 event. This event will be streamed live on NTV 285, GoTV 25 from 8 a.m. Now in local football, defending champions African Stars FC would have been quietly hoping that Tigers do them a favor by beating Ongos FC in order to give them breathing space at the top of the Debmarine Namibia Premier League table. Now Ongos, however, showed their fighting spirit and placed themselves in a good position after beating Tigers by a solitary goal at the Independence Stadium on Wednesday evening. Now, UNAM Phoenix women's basketball team has beaten the Legends 101-30, and this is in the final of the Commerce Basketball Association Independence Cup at the UNAM court, while the UNAM Rebels beat Nast Blues 82-74 in the men's final. The matches were well attended by crowds of both sets of teams, with most of them chanting their teams towards glory. Now in international sport, substitute Haji Wright was the hero once more as the United States defeated Jamaica 3-1 in extra time to reach the final of the CONCACAF Nations League in Texas yesterday. Striker Wright, who scored an injury time winner for Coventry City in an upset English FA Cup win over Wolves on Saturday, struck twice in extra time for the defending champions at the AT&T Stadium. Tiger Woods was listed in the field for next month's Masters on the tournament website on Thursday. This is the biggest sign yet that the 15-time major winner will compete at Augusta National. The 48-year-old superstar was among 85 players listed in the field for the April 11-14 showdown, rather than among the 17 listed as past champions not playing on the Masters website. And Sonny Heung-min says he considered quitting international football following a turbulent Asian Cup with South Korea. But he decided to continue for the fans. The South Korea and Spurs captain hinted at doubts about his international future in the immediate aftermath of a 2-0 semi-final defeat to Jordan last month. This is NMH at 1. We'll get into the highlights shortly.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraifa. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and
In our highlights, Kenyan doctors stopped providing emergency services at public hospitals yesterday as they escalated a national strike that entered its second week. Now, in a story that we are now highlighting, the United Kingdom and Australia inked a new defense agreement in Canberra yesterday as well as they try to boost a fledgling nuclear-powered submarine program with the United States. And for the third time, Swakopmund will host the famous Africa Triathlon Cup on Saturday at the Moore on the beach. You can catch the action live on NTV, DSTV 285, GoTV 25. Thank you for joining NMH at 1, bringing you the latest news from Namibia and beyond.